Hey everyone, how are you tonight? It's Dawn, and I was just asking my son Luke. I said, hey Luke, do you respect me? And he's looking at me as he's like digging in the drawer for batteries over here. And he goes, of course, Mom, I absolutely do respect you. And I said, well, what do you respect about me? And he goes, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, yeah, I want to know. I want to know what you respect about me. And I said, do you just respect me just simply because I'm your mom? I'm going to go ahead and just make sure I can see your comments and answer any questions you have. And he goes, well, of course I respect you because you're my mom. And I said, well, what do you respect about me? And he just kind of looked at me funny and he goes, I love you, Mom. Good night, Mom. But I stop and I think about that, and I think that, you know, respect comes in all different ways, shapes, and forms, right? And sometimes we're respected because of the position that we're in. And if you understand, there's like 5 levels of leadership. There is respect that starts at the positional level. And that's the first level that you're at pretty much amongst your peers, amongst most people, if you're in a position of authority. But, you know, I simply don't want to be respected just because I'm his mom, right? So, yeah, as I was going through a lot of this content and material, I kept thinking about that. And I'm like, well, what is respect? What does respect mean to each and every one of us? I think for some of us, it's that, you know, and I grew up, you know, and it was kind of like respect was expected. It was demanded of us. And then I think of respect, and I look at kids today, right? And you see just a difference in the type of respect when they're talking to their elders. And I just, you know, there's so many different ways we can look at that word respect. I think about some kids today and, you know, manners being a form of respect. I think of the way we treat one another as a form of respect, but I also look at respect from the capacity of the type of leader that I, you know, strive to be, or many of us strive to be in our organizations, in our businesses, in our communities, and what kind of respect are we seeking? And how do we generate respect? How do we grow as a leader? How do we move up that ladder? So if there's 5 levels of leadership, and essentially most of us are gaining respect just from a positional level because we're a person of authority, or we're overseeing a group or an organization, or just any kind of environment where we are the perceived leader. I think there's just natural respect that's part of that. But then I also see the organizations where you're leading a volunteer army, and the reality is people don't follow people just on a whim. There's natural groups or organizations that take place, and you've seen this happen especially when you're volunteering for something, where there's 1 or 2 people that will naturally stand out, and the entire group tends to follow those particular individuals, and whether it's their own perception of this individual having more strength than they do, people will naturally gravitate towards and follow people that they believe are stronger than themselves. It's just a constant. There's nothing that you can do to change that except to grow yourself. So why do people migrate towards people that they feel that are stronger than them? What are some of those characteristics that stand out? The number 1, respect has to be earned. It just truly does. And there's a lot of things that you do on a day-to-day basis to earn that respect. So what are some of the characteristics? And I want you to think about it from the capacity of people that you have respect for, right? What are their attributes? What is their character like? What are the things that are constant about those individuals that warrant your respect? There's been many business partners along the years, or there's been many organizations that you've been involved in, or have stepped out of because of your respect or lack thereof of the individuals that were in charge, right? If it takes so long to warrant that respect in an organization, in a group, in a church, in a community, in a business, I want you to think for one moment how quickly you can lose that respect. All it takes is, deception or just lack of commitment, lack of dedication. Just, you can fall from somebody's grace so quickly. So it'll take a long time to gain that respect, but it will sometimes be lost in a matter of a moment. I love John's analogy when he talks about pockets of change. So we talked a little bit about trust yesterday. Tonight, respect. But when we talk about these pockets of change, so I want you to think about, you're carrying around a pocket full of quarters, right? And every time something negative happens, you lose change. And every time something positive happens, like you're adding value to somebody's life, or you're pouring into them, or you're feeding them, then it can, you're adding to that change, right? But Chris, you're absolutely right. It can be lost so quickly. So I want you to constantly think about the only way to accumulate change, to accumulate more respect, to build trust in a relationship is by constantly making deposits. And the only way that happens, the only way you can accumulate more change is by pouring out, by adding value, by enriching the relationship, right? You cannot ask for a hand if you're not constantly trying to pour out and give to another person. It's kind of like that adage of a full cup, right? You can't pour from an empty cup. It holds true. So if you're constantly asking and requesting and seeking for your own gains, but you're not willing to pour out or give to another person, you're not going to gain respect. So here's some things that we can be doing. And stop for a moment, because this works in layers, right? So if people respect you, and let's just say they respect you as a person, right? They'll admire you. And this is one of the pieces in John's book that I love. And I love how he builds these layers. If people respect you as a friend, they'll love you. I have a lot of friends and I have a lot of love. But if people respect you as a leader, they will follow you. Just because you're a friend or just because you're a good person doesn't mean that you've warranted the respect for them to follow you as a leader. So what are some of the things that you have to do? The word show up just constantly resonates in my head. You've constantly got to show up. You've got to be present. You've got to be engaged. You've got to constantly be making good decisions. So I naturally will follow somebody if I feel that they're in alignment with me, if they're in alignment with my passion, my purpose, my vision for life, if their characteristics, their character in and of itself is good. Their heart is pure. They have noble intentions. They have really good qualities about them. I see them as having attributes that I can align with, that I can partner with. They're giving people. They believe in philanthropy. They believe in pouring out into others. They have just an incredible disposition, and I see them as just being somebody that I can trust, right? So those are the things that I look for in leadership and who I can align myself with. So I really want you to think about this. I look for people who have a good heart. I love heart-centered people. I love people that love to help people, that love to pour into other people, that just, and these are not the people, hey girl, how are you? These aren't just the people that say I love you, but the actions follow in suit to their words. They step into other people's lives, and they naturally want to pour in and help other people strive to be the best that they can be. right? So those are some of the characteristics when I think of leadership and I think of respect. There's a responsibility that comes along with this. And you know, if you're given a lot, you have to understand there's an incredible responsibility to live up to that expectation. So again, some of the other things that stand out in my mind when it comes to leadership is that talent alone isn't going to get you there, right? You can have a great position, you could have produced for your organization, but if you follow and understand those levels of leadership, pinnacle being number 5, pinnacle being at the top, it means not only have you walked the walk and talked the talk, right? Your productivity has fallen in suit, right? Because we can all be very productive individuals, but it's what have you done for the organization? At the end of the day, what have you done for your people and how have you led them well? And those are the things that are essentially will get you to that top, but talent alone is not going to get you there. And I can't emphasize that one enough. Some of us just rely on raw talent, raw skill, and I've been there, you know, and I stop every step of the way and I question myself today, and I'm like, how can I be a better leader? How can I step more into purpose? How can I help others to grow so that they know that they are valued, right? How can I pour into them? What can I do? I have enormous respect for the individuals in my organization. And I want you to look across the board and question yourself, you know, are you constantly defending them? Are you constantly feeding them? Are you constantly respecting where they're at in their life and loving them where they're at? Courage. Courage is another biggie. If somebody's courageous as a leader, if somebody is willing to do something so out of the box, or you're sitting there going, wow, that was brave, or she really stepped up or stepped out, or he did. Courage gives people hope. Courage to do what may seem like the impossible really gives people hope. And so when I think of some of the people that I adore, some of the people that I look up to, because people will naturally follow people that they perceive as being like stronger than themselves. Okay, and I want you to just think about this in real life terms. You know, look at the people that are following you. What kind of characteristics and attributes do they have? Who are they? I challenge you to ask the people around you what they respect most about you, like I just did with my son, and he couldn't answer, so we're gonna have a conversation about that later. Success record. You know, what is their track record like? Do they do what they say they're gonna do? Do they show up? I really struggle, and that's probably one of the things that I struggle with the most, is what people say and what people do. And I so want them to show up. I just truly do, but I know that many aren't. And I have to be willing to let go of that. And that's probably, and I've said this a couple of times, you've heard me talk about it, that is probably because I am a leader with a big heart. That is probably one of the things that I struggle with most, is because I want it for them so bad. But if they can't show up, I can't do the work for them. So you have to remember, it's one thing to be liked as a leader, but it's another thing to be respected as a leader. What is loyalty like? Loyalty is a big one in today's day and age with the constant change that we see all the time. Loyalty has to be key. I have to know that the people that I'm partnered with are in it for the long haul, or we have each other's backs, or there's a confidence, like an aura of confidence around us as a team and as a group. And if I feel that that is infringed upon, if I feel that that's been jeopardized or challenged, I'll be the first one to put my foot down, draw a line in the sand. So loyalty is really, really, really important. And how willing is that person to, willing and able to add value to other people? So those are some characteristics, those are some areas that we can grow. I challenge you to think about those, where you're at, who you are you showing up? Are you courageous? Are you loyal? what are some of the things that are most important to you in the journey towards respect? So that is your homework for the evening. I hope somebody gained some value from that or thought about that a little bit. And because without respect, without trust, it's really impossible to move any further in this journey. We're going to see you tomorrow. Hope you're having a great one, everyone. We'll catch up with you soon.